Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. I just finished the IS-2 in the 100 Battle Challenge. Tough one, fellas. I clawed my way to 50%, or actually that's not true. I backed my way to 50%. I was sitting at 56 with about probably 30 battles left, and it was a tough run to the finish line with this thing. Had some good battles, had a lot of not great battles, and I just found it very difficult to win in this. We're going to talk about that because I looked at some of the stats here, and there's an interesting story to be told about the IS-2. So I'm going to paraphrase my own babbling here a little bit before I even say it. Let me summarize this. The up-tiered hole from a IS-2 to Tier 8 didn't work. This is not a great heavy, and a lot of the facts are going to bear this out. It has some flexibility because of the two-barrel idea-ish, but overall it's a bad package. It doesn't work very well, especially at Tier 8. Might have been a pretty good Tier 7 with a few downgrades on it, but other than that, it's not a great Tier 8. But here it is. How did I run it? I had hardening, I ran vert, stab, and I had an IA just to try to tame the gun and make it as snippery as possible. Because to be honest with you, at first I felt like that was the way I was going to have to play it. But you get into games, and if you're a top tier heavy, you kind of got to try to do top tier heavy things, and that's where this tank's going to start to fall on its face just a little bit. Did I even have a backup set up? Probably not, no. All right, that's how I set it up. I had two large kits, and I was running food the whole time as well. I did not run any directives. As you can see, the crew is okay. 2 skills working on their third, and for the commander, a little bit better. Old Nicolay up there. So Tier 8 IS-2. This is some kind of napkin tank. A project of double-barreled tank. Based on the IS-2, they were going to make it a little wider, a little bit longer, and put 2 barrels on it, but it was only a blueprint tank. That's all they ever did with it. How did I do with it? Like I said, 50%, not that great. A couple things to key in on here. There's the win rate, 50. Battle survive 34. We'll get to that in a minute. Hit 75, pretty accurate gun, especially with my setup. Damage ratio, okay at 1.22, really kind of low. Destruction at 1.76, only 0.33 armor use efficiency for a heavy, guys. A Russian heavy. Not great. Damage DPM or DPG for me, 1,717. At first I was thinking that was a little low for me, and it is historically. I would say currently in this meta, it's not that bad because I have other Russian tanks with a similar DPM or slightly higher that I'm running in the mid-50s or even up towards the 60s. And there's a good reason for that. Damage received 1402 average, and there you go. So I managed a 4,665 damage game at one point. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this tank because there are a lot of Russian heavy tanks in the game. So we're sitting on a 34% survival rate, which I felt to be low, and it was actually for my Russian tanks. Notice that my Tier 8s have a much higher win rate, all of them, except for this one. So we're looking at the Tier 8s. Let's go ahead and get this correct here. There we go. So if we start up here with and there's a lot of them, fellas, IS-6, 65%, IS-3, 62, KB-5, 67. So I won't go through all of them. The lowest one's an IS-3 at 54, and everything else is above 54. I'm sitting at 50. So what's the difference? Well, the DPM is not, or DPG is not that much different. That's only 2 battles, so we won't look at that. Defender, 1931. We're against 1717. KB2, 1687. In 100 battles and a 58% win rate. Now, a lot of that can be small sample size. I got it, but I think there's a significant difference, enough difference, and there's enough continuity in all of the tanks I played in the Russian line that this one does look to be a bit of an outlier. The other thing we'll look at then is armor use efficiency. We'll just start at the top here. IS-6. 0.82, IS-3, 0.6, the lowest I believe other than this tank. KB4, KB5, 0.93, 252, 0.91. I'm not going to go through all of them, but this tank at 0.33 or whatever it is the lowest. A couple things I think are going on here. Number one is the IS-2 hull upgraded is trash at Tier 8. It's a bad hull. It's not good. It doesn't have the angles. It's relatively thick, but it's really a Tier 7 up-tiered hull, and that is always a problem in this game. Things like the Sherman with the Reveillerie or whatever it is, Reveilleuse, that kind of idea. A Sherman hull at Tier 8. Yeah, you bring in a big gun, or in this case, you bring in 2 barrels, but overall it's a net negative for the tank. The turret's okay at 200 something. We'll look at the armor layout here in a minute. I'll show you where I collected shots because it's got plenty of weaknesses that people can exploit, especially from the side. It's just a big flat pancake. To some extent, some of this armor use efficiency is a bit of a leftover from the glory days. I would say that if I played a lot of these tanks, I'm talking to you, KV5, IS-6 for sure, in today's meta, even the Defender, I would probably have a lower armor use efficiency, but I don't think it would be as low as 0.33. So this thing struggled to bounce shots. What does that mean overall, meta-wise, or for your win rate? Well, it means I didn't last as long. I only have a 30% win rate. What was it, 33? Where's that dumb thing? IS-2. 34% battle survived. All these tanks are 40 or above. 40, 50, 40.59. This one's right at 39.22, 40, 51% object, 47% KV5, 48%. You get the picture. Even the IS-3, which it doesn't really have great armor and is sitting at a 0.6, I still manage a 44. Every time you bounce a shot, you last a little bit longer. And when your armor use efficiency is below 0.5 with a heavy, you're in trouble. It's not a good heavy. It's what they'll call a support heavy. But when you're forced to do heavy stuff, you're going to have trouble. Now, to some extent, I'll take that on me. That is a part of my play style, is to get up front even with stuff that isn't very heavily armored. I like to play that way. So I think really if I was to give anyone advice to play it, to be very careful about how you position with it, and thinking that, oh, I'm in a Soviet heavy, I should be able to bounce some stuff. You just aren't going to be bouncing things very well. Let's take a look at that armor just for a second here, and then we'll look at the global win rate with this bad boy. But here it is against its own gun, right? Okay, yeah, you got some red, you got some ricochet stuff going on, but if you look at right between the turret, only 251. All right, yes, people are going to have to dab too, but pretty easy pen. And this hatch right here, which is not a problem many Russian tanks have, is fairly large for a Russian tank, especially since the turret kind of curves here and you have a kind of easy space right here to shoot. I caught a lot of shots there. I caught a lot of shots right here or on the upper bit, but this part's thin, relatively 140 space, nothing behind it. It is angled, so it's looking at effective of 247, but you will take shots in between. Look at this, 187, just a little bit off to the side, and you get this kind of weird 187 effective. Very strange. It is spaced. At least that one has two spaced pieces there. But this middle bit, there's only the 160 millimeters. So watch out for that. Lower plate's a lower plate. It's relatively large. And it's not pike-nosed. And it's not super angled either. Decently, just overall package. There's also this thing that if you side scrape, you start collecting all kinds of shots here. I can't tell you how many times I got shot right here trying to side scrape or do things that heavies might do. Also, the roof is weak. At 52 millimeters, I collected a lot of shots up here, things punching through the, and plus the forenoggin, it's got a sloped noggin that slopes down a little bit. So there's just a lot of little things with this tank that really goober up its armor, not to mention it's just an IS-2 hull upfleeted to tier 8. How is it doing overall? Well, all of that negativity sort of is borne out by its win rate, which is sitting down here. Where is he? Way down here, right? This is the bottom of tier 8 heavies right here, so it's in the bottom 20, maybe even close to the bottom 10, not quite bottom 10, so bottom 15 or so, and a negative 1.7, a 46.85 win rate. Remember, it is a tech tree tank, so you're going to have the issue of the stats being affected by people grinding it, and the win rate of people playing at 48. So it's bad, fellas. It doesn't do very well at all. We'll take a quick look at the tank itself here with its upgrades on the research thing. Pretty easy. It's a relatively new line, so a lot of these are more streamlined than they used to be in the past, so you're only going to have to unlock one module in each of these things. You're going to go from the 85 millimeter, which is barely serviceable. It does reload pretty quick. You will get shots out, but it's only doing 180. That's pretty painful. And then you get 100. So you never get the 390 Alpha 122 thing that most of the tier 8 Russian team heavies are known for. In fact, I don't even know, are there any that don't have it? I don't know. This may be the only one that I can think of that doesn't have some kind of 122 on it. It's only hitting then for 300. Got okay pen at 221 for standard pen. That's actually decent for a standard pen. and then 256, which can be a little bit anemic, especially against your really heavily armored tier 10s right there. About a 7-second-ish reload for each one of those things, and you get the double shot idea of it where you can take 2 shots. Remember that you're going to want to mech that to another button on your mouse other than the fire button hold down, which is the default in the game, because there'll be an extra little delay in there as the game tries to figure out if you're taking a single shot or a double shot. So you're really going to want to use a different button, either something on your keyboard or a side button or some such. Some people use the scroll button, the push down kind there, whatever is more comfortable for you. You're going to not have the extra little, I don't know if it's about a half second, maybe a second delay, but it feels like eternity if you try to just use the left button hold down. If that's been fixed, great. I don't think it has, but if somebody knows about that being fixed and I'm giving bad info, go ahead and chuck it down in the comments. And that's pretty much it as far as all that goes. What did that get me? It got me 7.63 gun loading for each barrel, the total reload of 15.26, salvo prep 2 seconds, and then a lockout of 4. We've got a -7 gun depression, which was okay, not quite as bad as some of the Russian heavies. 2.24 aim is not bad, and 0.31 dispersion, which was decent. That's one thing it does have over its stablemates in the Russian line, is it's much more accurate in general than the old 122s that are dropping 390 or for some reason on the premium ones 420 or 440 or whatever the hell it is for the 252U. Gave me 2,359 average damage. I was not running a turbo, so I had a little bit extra hit points at 1,720. I'll tell you what, with the amount of shots I took and the armor not being used, I would say that hardening is pretty valuable for this tank. It's pretty valuable for most heavies, but at least I was able to get a little bit more out of it before the armor completely failed me every single time. Turret armor at 235, hull at 110. It's bad. All right. Mobility was okay at 34. It's not going to win any races. 12 backwards, and of course it's a heavy, so its camo is garbage. And I did not have anything near max view range. I don't even know. I guess I did use the vision stuff. Did I? Where's my radio operator? Of course it is also the commander. Yes. So I have at least max vision perks on this thing, and it gave me the whole 394. It's not going to outspot much of anything, is it? I got 2 games to show you. One to kind of give you an idea of the armor idea of it, and then I'll give you a decent game that I had, my second to last, because the last one was a loss and a rumpelstomp. Actually, maybe I'm showing you the last one too. All right, let's check out. So I'm going to show you this first one. I don't last very long. It kind of encapsulates the way I feel about how the armor works on this thing. I am playing obviously aggressive here. I'm going to try to get around this other corner, try to stop these guys from pushing down below right here. This is really a crapshoot a lot of times on this map, whether or not your team can take this position or they have to sit back and wait and play peekaboo. I saw the 53 TP coming and I felt, well, he's kind of behind the power curve there, so we can get in position and take this guy out. And unfortunately, I come around the corner and I find a Grom there already, which is, okay, fuck, you gotta be kidding me. But there he is, and that thing's got a pretty good gun. So I'm thinking maybe I can get a bounce off this guy with it. Nope, of course not. 655. He just punches right through, I believe, the upper plate. Or did he snipe me, or did he get me a lower plate? What is that? Oh yeah, boom, right. Look down though, so it did reduce the angulation a bit. Now we're going to come up here. We're going to try to get some shots on the Super Persh. There goes Artie. Of course, it absolutely... Did he nail me? Yeah, that's a freaking direct hit, of course. Where did it go? Is that a hole right there? In the, it's hard to tell. Doesn't look like one. Oh yeah, that looks like maybe a hole right there, potentially. Or is that just... No, that's, I think, something from the... I don't see any explosion on the ground. It looked like a direct hit. Anyway, we get a shot on him. Waiting for the reload here, and we'll get out of there. You know what I'm saying? Where did he hit me? Who knows? Right in the side, it would appear. It's funny, with some of these paint jobs, it's really hard to see where the damage models are. Right there. It looks like he went right through the turret ring. Look at that. Just right up. It's incredible, isn't it? Yep, he went right there, right to the right of the barrel on the right side of the screen there. Perfect. All right, so that's not good, and we're already down to 651 hit points, and we'll try to pin this guy. We'll just go ahead and ricochet. Correct. I can't tell you how many games felt exactly like this. I remember this last battle going, this is how I'm going to remember the IS-2 too. Just this kind of bullshit. All right, so we're going to back out. Like, okay, please don't. By the way, solid move on the defender, because he maybe hits me hard enough to kill me or take a good amount of damage off me. And nice job by him keeping that from happening. Okay, we're going to get reloaded here, and we'll go ahead and shoot him once. Hey, look, we got some damage. A whole extra. Okay, we get right by the Grom. That was cool, but we're not going to survive. Maybe we can get a shot on him. No, the 252U comes in there, and that is the end of that. All right. You get shot in the side, it's going to be hard for armor to do much. I got it. It's just, this is how this tank always felt when I tried to do heavy tank stuff. Nearly every time. Nearly every time. I'll show you a better game here in a moment. Now, I will tell you what's funny about that map, Mannerheim Line, which they just changed, that area where the Grom was. That was always a BS position to begin with all the hold down spider tank garbage. They actually made it better for the other team, which I can't quite comprehend, but there you go. It is very difficult to get around the corner like we did and hold that, because they can kind of come from several directions right there. In any event, we're here on mines, and I am top tier in a 2-tier battle, so I'm feeling pretty good about this, especially since I'm only looking at an IS-6 and a 122 TN. The XM57's got me a little worried. I don't really want to get into a face-punching situation with that guy, so if I can get up the hill, I will do so, but for the moment, I have to do heavy tanks things, guys. I mean, I guess I could sit back and snipe and all that, like pretty much half my team. They're all in TDs, and of course my favorite back there, though, is the Black Prince. What a great position for a Black Prince. Skoda gets up the hill. Barras does a nice job in this game. Tears up the, Batchat 12T a bit, and they're able to get up there and get rid of him. We'll dodge that shot. And now I'll work my way in here. There goes the... We have 2 Barras? We do have 2 Barras. All right, there goes the other one. I'm going to shoot him right in the lower plate. Nope. As I back up, I'm going to be stupid and hit him in the upper plate, and then we're going to damage it. No, we're not. Okay, great. XM57, thank you for not paying attention to me. And let's see if we can get this guy shot. Kind of use him a bit to block the XM57 having a good shot. He must not have a kit or a good crew. So we're going to keep him tracked, and I'm trying to work with the Yag Panther, but unfortunately I'm like, come on, dude. Alright, there we go. Someone got him. We'll hit him again. Nice. 30-31. Artillery, fantastic. 176. That is the interesting thing about this tank. Yeah, ricochet, sure. Why not? Aimed right at the little bulb on the hatch, but no, we don't get that, do we? Absolutely not. And I'm kind of getting torn up by artillery. And I'm thinking, you know what? I don't want to sit here. If I just sit here going back and forth, I'm just going to get owned by artillery eventually. Especially if I'm being stuffed by the XM57. So really, I'm hoping he is backed out or he's nowhere near. All right, I just saw him take a shot, either at me or the Jag Panther. So a bit lucky that if it was me, he didn't hit me. That means he's on a long reload, and I'll just accept whatever this Hellcat can do, and maybe we can do something like that. There's the decent accuracy of the gun. You got to like it. Hope he doesn't track me, but no, he backs out. He doesn't want another shot because he knows I have 2 barrels. Or he just didn't want another shot. All right, we've got the hill. IS-2 takes out the JP. This guy's poking, so we'll try to... Hey, look at that. Armor did something. So we actually have 1,260 bounced on the armor. The armor is actually helping me out. And that's huge, fellas. I mean, think about that, what we just talked about when we're looking at the stats. Those go through, I'm already out of the game. I only have 1172 left. So already dead. Or if a couple was hit, I don't make this move because I don't have the hit points to spend to try to make it up here. So I'll take it, but that was not a... we're already at a 1,000, what? 1,600 hit points or 17 or whatever. So we're already sitting at like a 0.75-ish, 0.6 armor use efficiency for this game. So everything's going good. We got ourselves 1,500 damage, 1,008 assist. And that, if you see me sort of pausing for a second, I just looked at the minimap and went, okay, all right. They got a WZ-111 1FT and an XM57 for TDs. And an ISU-152. What did we get? we got an RHM and a Scorpion. Okay. Sweet. Well, I'm not surprised that the RHM and the Scorpion are back on the red line. I'm pretty happy that the ISU and so far the WZ-111 1FT haven't showed up, because honestly, if all three of them with the XM57 leading the way pushes up the hill, there's not a whole lot we're going to do. Now maybe the RHM and the Scorpion back there give them a couple spanks, but if they had a push and you add the 122 TM, I mean, this is all over. But good news is, fellas, this is a pub match, so I'm not really expecting that. I don't want to joust, I think, with the XM57 quite that much. I could have walked out, taken a hit, and maybe got a shot on, but that's a dumb trade. 500, 600 damage for 300, and maybe a shot at another. All right, and then this guy makes a bold move, which is fine. I get tracked, I fix it, thank goodness I had a kit. We'll go ahead and double tap him, and ouch, that sucks. The SP1C got a shot on me, so I lose 240 or 230 out of him. And I was really worried right here, and I'm thinking, oh man, all right, Mr. Even 90, help me out. Got a shot on him. He goes after the Even 90. I try to mess up his shot a little bit, which worked out enough, or the guy just failed to get the shot. Sneak another one in. I'm like, okay, Even 90, go, 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 buddy. I'm going to try to block him for you. There we go. All right, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. I knew he was on a reload, and he backs out here. Just enough that I can go ahead and sneak a shot. Because we're nice and close, I can hit that hatch. Really expected the 122 to make a bold move and come right after me, but he doesn't. I thought that would have been a good trade for him, to be honest, but we do have a couple other guys up here, so we didn't want to get into a crossfire. He takes a shot, so I'm going to take an opportunity to get down here and maybe get one in on him. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, hey, that worked. I don't know how, to be honest with you. That was a shot into the upper plate that was pretty well angled. I did have a little look down, so I must have normalized that just enough to get the pen through the upper plate there, which isn't terribly thick. It's just highly angled depending on where you shoot them from. E25 is kind of doing some proxy lighting. I don't know how much use that is, although I suppose if you look at the Leo, the Super Hellcat, and the Brosk, it's probably a really good move because they just tore up a couple guys down there. All right, I don't want to walk into the WZ. I figure he's on their sniper hill, and that is indeed where he will be. The RHM does us a solid and comes up and uses some hit points. I think he actually makes it. Yep, there we go. Super goes down, the 122 dies, and it's clean up on aisle 2. We'll come in here, and I'm looking for a shot. I'm like, maybe, no. Nope, not going to happen. And maybe this one? Nope, he's got it angled. I missed anyway. And they're pushing in. It's pretty much all over but the shouting. 3,173 damage, 1,008 assists. Let's avoid getting ganked by the WZ, but I think he's behind a rock, so he's hating life right there, getting a bunch of crossfire. I'm going to see if I can do the dismount here, see if I can stick it. And nice. All right, maybe I can kill an Artie. That would be fantastic. Can't kill him. He's behind a building. Oh, look at this. We have the SP1C. I feel like I owe him one. We'll just pop him. And that's the end of that. Cranks us up to 3,390. 1,260 bounce and 1,008 assist. It's still only a class 1. 1,100 or so experience as I was beating up on some tier 7s there as well, and a couple kills chipped in. So, in the right situation where you can avoid some damage, to some extent a bit lucky on the armor use right there. At least it was keeping more or less the front armor to people, minus the move going up sideways to those guys. So that ended up working out for us, and I do like its firepower because of the double barrel thing, and only 7 seconds or so to get a 300 alpha gun, and you've got some double shot. I didn't happen to use the double shot. I find it difficult to use actually the Russian version of the double shot because, as I said about meching the button, holding a different button on the mouse, and then it's a 2-second wait and you got to keep aiming. It's not as easy, I would say, as the British ones where you just hit X and then fire away from there. Kind of wish that would be the same way as the British version there, but it's not. So decent game with it. I didn't have a whole lot of games like that. A few, not a lot. Top tier helps out quite a bit. I like the tank. It's not as survivable as your standard Russian tank at tier, so be careful with that. I think if you're a more careful support tank heavy kind of player, you might like it a bit more than I did. It's never really out of the fight with the double barrel thing, although you do have the lockout and a much longer reload if you fire both. But then you're just talking about a 300 alpha kind of crappy armored heavy tank that shoots every 7.5 seconds. So I don't know. Is that good? Not necessarily, especially based on the way the stats are with this thing. It's a bit of a low light, I would say, in the double barrel Russian tank sphere, other than maybe how fast it shoots and a decent accuracy with the 100mm. All right, fellas, that's all I've got with the IS-2 100 battles. Probably never play that thing again. I can go strip off the equipment and move on. Have a great one. We will see ya.